This piece of art that the artist may have spent years writing and creating and recording and producing, to be able to be sort of a critical part in this chain of delivering this thing. And then they hand it to you and say, all right, it's up to you to do this right, to deliver it to the world. It's a huge responsibility. It's a huge privilege. We all feel very fortunate, every one of us, that that's what we get to do every day.
When you walk in there, to know that they did the first Beatles records on VJ, all the Motown records, the Elvis, just the feel of that place alone, and since they've been doing it consistently for so long, they know what they're doing.
Well, United Record Pressing is kind of a unique company in the music industry, in the vinyl record manufacturing industry too. On the one hand, we have this wonderful history. The company was founded in 1949. We're the second oldest manufacturer of vinyl records in North America. Manufactured in this historic building on Chestnut Street from 1962 until the end of last year, and now into its new facility. It pressed the majority of the Motown records in the 60s and the 70s. It pressed the first Beatles single in America. There's a litany of just really, really important music that the company has pressed. I like music in all formats, and I stream music, and I listen to CDs and all that, but can have a beautiful piece of cover art, and you have liner notes, and you can drop a needle in a groove and hear music really come to life and hear the depth and kind of the story within the music. It's the ultimate way to consume music, and it leaves an impression on you that's different than if you just listen to the same music on your phone. I was looking at businesses all over the country and looking for sort of a niche business where I felt my involvement in it, my investment in it could make a difference. And in this process, I came across United Record Pressing, located in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't think I'd ever been to Nashville prior to meeting United Record Pressing. Immediately came down and experienced this building and the process of making records and just saw what was here and fell in love with the business. I think there's definitely a synergy in the music economy and the musical environment in Nashville. You have producers, you have engineers, you certainly have artists, you have session musicians.
It is big business, but it's still important, and the personal relationships matter, and the sense of community is very important to Nashville.
I've been coming to Tennessee since I was 18 years old to make music. This is such a special place in the United States. It's such a special place in the American South. So being here and being, like Pete Seeger says, a link in the chain, it's really exciting to be able to add on to the very essence of American popular music. This is the place where it happened. But I think that Tennessee is the heart and soul of American popular music.
In 07, 08, record companies were not in a strong financial position. As you saw kind of the flicker of commercial vinyl and important records being released on vinyl, you recognized that we needed to do some things differently to really change how the company delivered its product to the world. My emotional connection to music, as well as just my orientation to life in general, is I really care about quality. And certainly I care about quality if I'm going to listen to a record and understanding what's gone into it. And if I'm going to play a part in delivering that, it's got to be good. We ended up really giving the company a complete operational overhaul and really turning everything upside down and trying to understand what is it we're doing today, what is it we can do differently to make a higher quality record.
So right now we're standing in our mechanical room, and this is really the engine that powers the plant that lets our presses run and lets us make records. And you have a couple of different processes. The first is you need to bring heat to the presses, steam heat, so you can melt the vinyl compound and get it soft enough to make a record. And to do that, we have our two boilers here that are producing steam heat, feeding it to the boilers, to the extruders, to the dies that allow us to mold the records and make that. So they're delivering steam heat down to the presses and making soft vinyl to make records. When you make that heated up vinyl and you press it into a record, eventually you have to cool it off so that when the press releases, the record will keep its form and release. And the way you do that is with water.
Having gone through a few years of transition and reinvention, 08, 09, 2010 timeframe, left us in a position of being much stronger, a much higher quality producer, a much more reliable producer than we were when I bought the company.
It's so manual through the whole time that just in the vinyl manufacturing alone, you'll probably have good 20 people, probably easy, that physically touch your vinyl until it hits the shelves.
The artist, there's always an element of trust that is going to be involved, especially when you're trying to combine the great forces of art and commerce together. When you go tour that facility at United, it's immediately apparent how much these people care about music. I mean, just the quality control. This dude is sitting in this room listening to every 6th record that gets pressed on the machine to make sure that it's right. At some point, you probably spend some amount of time like wondering if what you're doing is like worth being put on something. And so to be able to sit there and hold it in your hands and you know, see that you know, somebody felt like it was is a pretty humbling experience, to say the least.
If we wanted to continue to be the kind of important partner to our customers that we had been and that we wanted to continue to be, we needed to operate in a new facility.
The whole plant was an empty box. So it used to just be a warehouse. So completely from scratch, a clean palette, and today we have this.
It's an expansion that sort of, when fully executed, should allow us to grow our capacity by a factor of about 2.5. We should have the ability to make close to 100,000 records a day eventually, and that's an awful lot of records. One of the really great things that we did in terms of just emotionally great things is we started a recording series, recording up here in the Motown Suite above United Record Pressing. The Motown Suite was built when this building was built, and it was built with a particular purpose in mind. At the time, United was doing a lot of work pressing the records for Motown, being that it was located in Nashville in the segregated South. A lot of the Motown artists and executives were precluded from getting hotel rooms. They wanted to come down, they wanted to see their records made, they wanted to be able to celebrate the release of their records. And so when this plant was built, it was built specifically to be able to accommodate and support those artists. We're here in the Motown Suite in the record release room. We invited artists to come up here and record. And we worked with a local sound engineer who records only on analog tape and 1/4-inch 2-track tape, and we put all the musicians in the room, and they could configure it in whatever way they wanted to, and they would record songs, and we would record maybe 20, 25 minutes of music. We'd record a track, and they'd listen to it, and if they liked it, they'd say good, and then you go on. If not, they'd rewind the tape and record over it. So there was no edits, no overdubs. It was a very kind of real, you're out there skating on the ice, and you're gonna get what you're gonna get. Some artists could do it in 4 hours, and some would take 14 or more, and some would do it with a cup of coffee, and some would do it with a case of wine. But we really created some really, really beautiful records in the process. The space is all intact. We have the brown paneling, we have the nicotine stains on the ceiling, we have the Naugahyde furniture, we have turntables from the 60s and the 70s. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to speculate what went on here, and it undoubtedly was great. Every artist that came in, they just said all of this space just spoke to them with an incredible energy and the history. And there was one artist in particular, an artist named Chisel. Corey was really excited about it, and he was thinking about what he was going to record, and it was going to be a combination of original songs and some really beautiful covers. And they hadn't been able to finish it, so it was a song without an ending. And he kind of showed up early, and he said, everybody just hold for a while. And Adriel, come on. And they went in the back room back. About 90 minutes later, they came out and they said, we got it. We got it. And they completed this song, and it's a gorgeous song, and we recorded it on the record, we put it on the tape, and it had this amazing, amazing power to it. And he said, that day was one of the most memorable, powerful days in his, professional career. Undoubtedly, there are challenges facing the music industry today. At the same time, labels, artists, everybody recognizes that physical product, and in particular vinyl, has an important place in its economic ecosystem too. They are embracing it, and consumers continue to embrace it. Vinyl continues to grow. The investments we're making and the way that we're approaching our craft here is somewhat unique in this industry. We're trying to bring and marry a desire to invest, a sophistication in terms of how we look at our business, manage our business, how we invest in our people and our processes and our systems to be a best practices manufacturer. At the same time, to continue to celebrate our heritage and our history. There aren't many companies that can say we've been doing something since 1949. We want to be the preeminent pressing partner to our partners, to our customers. We want to make great records.